Good day and welcome to Exit Alliance. We are a national group of advisors that specialize in lifting business value and creating and implementing exit strategies for business owners. We do this so that the business owner can easily transition to the next phase of their lives, whether that be a new venture, a new business, or retirement. In this short series of video clips, we attempt to answer a number of questions around exit planning and lifting business value. Today's question is:
why do I need an exit plan? Well, to answer this question, we probably have to answer another question first. Why are you in business in the first place? What actually got you into business, and where do you expect to go with your business? What are you wanting to do with the business itself? Is it to provide for your family, to pursue a passion, to leave a legacy, to provide for your old age? All of the above? All of those are valid business reasons for having a business. But more than that, what you're saying is, this is what I want to do with my business, so how do I achieve it? And the best way of achieving it is to have an exit plan, to make sure that you've begun with the end in mind, you know exactly what you have to achieve. And that's what an exit plan, properly structured and implemented, executes. Let's take a look a little bit more about this concept of providing for your family and also for your old age. A lot of business owners believe that the business is their super, so they haven't actually made any other arrangements. But as we all know, life happens, so not having made the plans, they rely on the white knight. I'm going to take a look at each one of these concepts in a little bit more detail. The concept of the business is my super immediately runs into the problem of the 70% conundrum. So what am I referring to with this? It's where a fact is that most entrepreneurs are in a situation where 70% of their wealth is actually tied up in their business. That means if they are going to achieve their goals of being able to retire, they have to sell their business, otherwise they are going to be in financial strife. But the problem is, you start running into the age wave. What is that? Well, it's the story of the baby boomers as they're starting to approach retirement. You know that the first baby boomers are already in retirement, and over the next 10 to 12 years, there's going to be the majority of the baby boomers going into retirement. So the implication of this is that these business owners who are baby boomers are going to be starting to look to sell their businesses. But that then says, to whom do they sell the business? Well, the buyer pool is Generation X. It's a pool that is approximately 20% or more smaller than the baby boomer generation. So what does that actually mean? It means that you're running into problems with supply and demand. There are going to be more businesses available with fewer buyers trying to buy those businesses. That means business prices are going to be lower. So if you're relying on your business to provide for your wealth, you've actually got to make sure that your business is actually worth more than you think it is. And the problem is, most business owners are actually surprised at the real valuation of their business. It's lower than what they think it is. But there's even bigger problem. A large number of businesses will not sell at all. So those businesses are simply going to close their doors. What does that mean for those people who are relying on their business as their super? It's not just Exit Alliance that believes that we have a problem. If you take a look at this article, which was in the Australian Financial Review in February 2014, you can see what they're saying is that there's a number, 1.4 million. That's the number of businesses they estimate are going to be sold over the coming decade. And that's a huge chunk of the Australian economy. What we're talking about is at least 60% of Australia's businesses are going to be sold in the next 10 years. But there's a bigger problem. A lot of owners are going to realize that the companies are actually worth nothing. And there's a big shock coming for those businesses, those owners expecting to get a lot more for them, for their businesses. So it's not just us, but there is this massive problem coming along fast over the next 10 years. So what type of business is actually going to sell? We say it's a desirable business. So what are the characteristics of a desirable business? Well, it's easy to step into. It's not reliant on the current owner's presence. There's sustainable growth plans in place. If you're buying something, you want to make sure that it's your future that you're buying. So a new buyer is actually going to look at what is possible with the business. How can they grow it? How can they do better than the current owner? That's their motivation. So you actually have to start helping them by creating those growth plans in place and making sure that it's possible. They're also looking for low-risk businesses. And low risk means that your business is professionally run, that your accounts are in place, that things are happening, that they can trust what they see and what they get. That makes it easy to buy, and it also means that it passes that due diligence with flying colors. Unfortunately, it's at the due diligence stage that most business sales that seem like sure things actually break down. And the reason that that happens is because there'll be something unearthed, usually in the financials, which will make the buyer say, wait a second, I actually don't trust what is happening. So they start digging, and then they find other things that they don't like. So the impact of that on the net sales price is that if the sale happens, the price is actually lower than what people expect. So you've got to do a due diligence stress test to make sure that everything is in place before you put your business on for sale. When we start taking a look at the issues of life happens, these are things that will actually cause a business to be sold in an unplanned manner. What are they? We actually consider them as the 5 Ds. It's death, divorce, disability, disputes, and disaster. These are things that happen that will actually cause you to lose focus on your business or be removed from the business permanently. And it doesn't have to be your own issues. It could be the death of a partner, of a business partner, of a spouse, your business partner's spouse, of a business partner's child. Similarly with disabilities and disputes and disaster, it's anything that takes your focus away from the business. These are things that can actually force you to sell the business when you're not ready. And that's an unexpected sale, but there is a way to get around it. If you have that exit plan in place, you know that you'll be able to sell the business in an emergency on your own terms and not those dictated to by events. But then we also have this other construct of the business owner who believes that there's going to be a white knight. He doesn't do anything, he works hard in his business, but he doesn't professionalize it. And as a net result, the business is not ready to be sold. But then one day, this fantastic white knight's going to come up and offer him a lot of money that he can't refuse, and the business owner is going to live happily ever after in retirement with a lot of money. Doesn't happen. Well, that's not really true. It does happen. Maybe 1 in 100,000. So if we look at it over the next 10 years, it might happen 10, 12, 14 times over the next 10 years, once a year. Could it happen to you? Yes. Would it likely be happening to you? No. So you've actually got to take a look at really creating your business plan so you're not relying on that white knight. So what can you do right now to make your business sale worthy? Well, formalize your customer contracts. That's absolutely critical. Make sure that your business is in a position to go forward without you and that customers cannot renege on contracts simply because you're not there. You've got to start tracking your customer satisfaction. That means that your customers will stay with the business. One of the great simple metrics is the Net Promoter Score. It's a mechanism to look at how many promoters you have versus how many detractors you have for your business and identifying issues around your business to ensure that you have a net surplus of people who will promote your business on your behalf. You can write a teaser for your business. That's something that mergers and acquisitions people put out before the sale of the business in anticipation to start trying to drum up demand. It's done confidentially and they don't put in too many details, but it starts making you think of the business from the buyer's eyes. It's a document that describes the who, what, where, when, and why of the business. It describes the business in detail from a potential buyer's eyes. This means that you looking at the business from a way that a buyer would, so you can actually see what they want, so you can actually start putting in place the systems and procedures that a buyer would need. Don't forget to professionalize your bookkeeping. This is one of those key issues that makes the business absolutely low risk for a buyer to go in, so it makes it much more desirable, and it's the sort of thing that you can do quite easily, because by getting your books right, by making sure that you're not hiding things from the tax man, you're actually able to prove things, and you're actually able to prove the income and the EBIT, making it really easy for a sale to take place. Then the last, well, not the last, but one of the primary things is protect your gross margin during this process. Many sellers try and increase their volume, and the way they do that is by lowering their prices. The impact of this is obviously on reducing your gross margin, but it also reduces the EBIT, and this is on the first step to becoming a commodity. This makes the business worth less, so protecting your gross margin is a way of making sure you get more for your business, even if it is at the expense of volume. Stop doing the selling. You have to take yourself out of the business. It can take up to a year in some industries to train a salesperson, so make sure that you start now to get somebody else doing the selling for you. By doing this and ensuring that you've got the correct procedures and processes in place, you're actually extracting yourself from the business, making it easy for another buyer to come in and see themselves in your position, running the business without being reliant on you specifically. Again, a process that makes a business much more easy to sell. And then of course you can start with preparing a formal exit plan and looking at everything that you need to have that business ready for sale.
Thank you for watching. And if you ever need to lift your business value or create an exit strategy, Exit Alliance has the tools, the resources, and the connections to make it happen.